In a tense meeting one time, I had a negotiator turn across the table and say, David, I don't know how good you are a communicator, but I sure know that you know how to listen really well. That actually is a pretty big compliment. You know, my mom told me, she sat there and says, David, God gave you one mouth and two ears. He meant you to listen twice as much as you talk. To be honest, you may notice I talk an awful lot. I listen to her still to this day. At least I try to. One thing that we have a lot is we tell people, we teach them how to talk, but seldom do we ever sit down and teach them how to listen. Here's a lesson on listening as you go through. This is a big, big deal. Many of us are poor listeners. We listen only 25 to 50% efficiently as you go through. A lot of times people will listen and you know darn well they're not hearing a word that you're saying. They're just planning on responding to you with their words, and they're formulating their own thoughts in their mind to sit down and have a comeback to you because they don't care what you have to say because they think they're more important than you are, or maybe they don't have a long enough attention span as you go through. Poor listening skills affect professional relationships as well as personal relationships. I used to have a problem I was brainwashed growing up because my babysitter was the television set. Calm down, sit there, go watch TV. You go watch TV, and all of a sudden we're brainwashed in the process. Whenever there is a screen, I must watch the screen. So one day, my wife, she sat there, she's talking to me, and I'm watching the screen. She grabs me by the chin. She says, "Look at me." Yes? No, look at me. Stop looking at TV. I had to break myself of the habit that when she talks, I need to sit down there, stop looking at the television. I can always pause it or turn the thing off. My life might be better for that, and pay attention to her because she's much more important than anything the TV has to say. But I've been brainwashed that anytime I walk into a room and there's a screen, I snap over to watch that screen. That's a poor listening habit. Focus in and be present with people that are listening to you. Some of the barriers are the grandstanding. People want to be the center of attention. The physical barriers, having a television on, the psychological barriers. You don't want to listen to that person because they may say something negative, and you're hiding as you go through. Language problems. Some people may struggle sometimes with some parts of the English language, and it doesn't matter if you're native English speaker or not. Nonverbal distraction. Somebody's talking too much and you're watching their hand gestures, afraid they're going to smack you instead of listening to what they have to say. Sometimes the thought speed. We can actually listen, as scientists tell us on the data they gather, between 172 to 185 words per minute. So that being said, if somebody's talking really slow like this, my mind tends to wander too much because I'm thinking at the rate of 180 words per minute, and they're talking at the rate of about 50 words per minute. That's why I think I don't get a problem talking fast. You can catch on because your brain can actually function at that process, provided I'm articulate as you go through. Sometimes people take attention and they're listening to you, but you know darn well they're sneaking up, waiting to respond. Listening is a big thing. Here are 10 powerful listening skills. You may have a test on these, but regardless, if it's not in this class, you're going to have a test in life. Number one, when somebody's talking, stop talking. Listen to what they have to say. Control your surroundings. If somebody is telling something, especially in my case, I come from a human resource background. Close the door because sometimes they're pouring out a deep emotional topic to you, and it should be private, it should be personal, and you need to focus 100% on them, not being distracted by the things that are outside the room as you go through in the process. Be receptive and keep an open mind. Make your body sit down there and be open to them with open hand signals as you go through, and we'll talk about nonverbal communication later on. Have an open mind. Make certain that you, when they walk in, and let's say they're challenging the decision that you have, sometimes our automatic response, well, actually almost all the time, is to defend our actions, defend our current position, defend our current thought process. But sometimes you need to sit back and calmly sit there, step back from your perspective and listen to theirs as you go through. Listen for their main points. Capitalize on lag time. When there's a lag time, then interject your thoughts if you can without interrupting them as you go through. Listen between the lines. Sometimes people don't want to say what they're really thinking, and sometimes they don't know how to convey it. So sit down there and listen to them. Why are they coming to you? Why are they saying that? Judge the ideas, not the appearances they go through. One time I came out of a store and I'm looking at this thing, and this guy comes out. He was obviously a homeless person. He had disabled hair. His beard was out there. He had a really crummy t-shirt and a pair of beat up shorts and tennis shoes on. He came out of a gym and he hopped in his car and he drove away in his Bentley. I was judging him by his appearance, but the guy was wealthy beyond belief. Judge ideas, not appearances. Don't look on the outward thing. Look as to what they're saying. You'll get some of the most brilliant ideas from people that you never expected them to come from. Avoid interrupting if you can possibly do that. Take selective notes to ensure retention. Write them down as you go through. The writing process helps you retain them as well. That whole idea of your brain forcing your hand to move to write things down actually reinforces the idea from a neurological perspective as well. It helps you long term. Provide feedback and confirmation. When they're talking, nod your head. I hear that you're saying this, and try to repeat what they have to say. And that way you can make certain you have this, because sometimes I've done that and no, that's not what I mean. This is what I mean. And then you try to repeat what they say in your own words to make certain it's grasped and you have clear communication between the two of you. So one of the most powerful tools in leadership doesn't focus on the volume, number of words or emails you send out, but how well you listen and then respond. Take care.